Is working properly. Again, for tonight, a few possibilities of some thunderstorms out there. Not looking at a lot, although we have had some borderline severe weather out across portions of the area and could see some more into tonight, but it looks like most of that's going to be confined well on down to our south. So for right now, not getting a bunch of problems, but it is something that we are going to kind of have to keep an eye on for tonight just to be on the safe side. And again, the main threat of anything huge in the way of severe weather will be well back to our west, so hopefully staying there and sticking around well to our west as well. Beyond that, I think things are going to stay relatively quiet. The weekend overall coming up looks pretty good, but I don't see, again, too much of anything shaping up in the way of major problems for right now. So good news there. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Looks like we are good to go. It is just about 10 till 10 Eastern Time on Tuesday, the 4th of June. Welcome to the show. This is Weather Overtime, live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. We cover southeast Tennessee, northern and northwestern Georgia, northeastern Alabama, and the far western county into North Carolina. So that's our viewing area. If you've got a question about the weather, and I can't answer it immediately, we'll do our best to give you as much information as we possibly can into what the situation is so that you can have some form of an answer. But we may not be able to answer every single question on whatever you may happen to ask for tonight. If you've got a question on YouTube or on Twitch, please go ahead and drop that into the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. We've gotten a bunch of new subscriptions on Twitch. Granted, we're not exactly a super presenter or whatever the term is. We would love to be able to get more people on here, and slowly but surely we're going to continue to get more subscribers, and we'll continue to bring you the best weather information that we possibly can. So stay tuned for more on that, and we'll keep you advised for tonight. Let's go ahead and get into it since everybody is here and give you an idea as to what we're going to be experiencing for this evening. Let's start off with some fun stuff first. Weather picture of the day from the area around Gulf Breeze, Florida. News 12 viewer Joseph Kimmery, hope I'm saying that correctly. Nice view of the Gulf of Mexico, waters offshore, and the palm trees out there. Beautiful view. Ever so slightly envious. I would love to be there sipping on a cold root beer. That would be very nice to have. As one of my wife's favorite songs goes, knee deep in the water somewhere. If you've got pictures of the Gulf, of the Great Lakes, of the North Pole, for all I can see, send them in to us. As long as it involves a nice view, what's going on with the weather, please send them in to us at pictures@wdef.com. and or drop them to our website, wdef.com/photos. Brand new site to where you can drop your pictures off, and you can see what everybody else is submitting to the Langley Roofing Weather Window picture of the day. You can also drop them to our big three social media pages if you'd like to. Again, Facebook and X and Instagram on there. So please drop those pictures off. We'd love to see more about what you're seeing out across the area and points beyond. Temperatures just a little bit lower than normal thanks to those clouds and the rainfall today. So about 3 degrees below normal on the high and about 4 degrees above normal on the low. Came within about 15 degrees of a record high. 1911, the last record high, 97 degrees. Record low of 49, last set back in 1969. For the solar part and lunar part of the almanac, the moon is a waning thin crescent. It'll be going to a new moon coming up here in about a day and a half. We've got about 14 hours and 24 minutes of daylight. We're approaching the maximum point of the year in just about 17, 18 days. That'll be the solstice, and that'll be we get the maximum amount of light during the day, and then we start losing daylight until we get to December 21st, give or take somewhere in there. But tomorrow the sunset will be just about a minute or so later, so at least we'll see a little bit less in the way of dark skies all that early. It would be nice to have that out there. Let's take a look at radar real quick and show you that we do have back up around Monroe County. We do have a special weather statement taking place. That, again, is where you see the county light up right there. That is where we see the potential of something going on in that particular location. Let me see if I can get to that real quick before we move on too fast. A special weather statement, for those of you who have never heard about it before, is about one step below a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning. That gives you an idea as to how bad the situation is. Now, according to this, from the National Weather Service in Morristown that watches this area for the coverage for the National Weather Service watches and warnings, strong thunderstorm will impact southwestern Blount and central Monroe counties through 10:30 p.m. Wind gusts of 45 miles per hour and pea-sized hail from this storm, again, making its way from Monroe County into and around upwards of Loudoun and Blount counties. This, again, gusty winds could knock down tree limbs, blow around unsecured objects. Minor hail damage to vegetation is possible here. And again, we're looking at areas mainly east of I-75, now making its way to just south of Knoxville, just to the southwest of Maryville, and going to be approaching Sevier County here within about the next hour. This is, again, moving out of our county warning area. This is where we cover for News 12. Again, southeast Tennessee, northwestern Georgia, northeastern portions of Alabama, and Cherokee County in western North Carolina, where we did have some pretty good lightning earlier on from that one storm, but that has now started to kind of fall apart, and there's not much left over. We are watching some thunderstorms down around Gadsden in Alabama, Anniston, and east of Birmingham. That, again, where that storm system lifting up to the northeast, that's going to be intersecting the Alabama-Georgia line coming up here within about the next hour, hour and a half. Again, not severe. We have some counties listed here that are showing us, again, a little bit in the way of the special weather statements, but we're not seeing anything in the way of severe weather. But we could be looking at more of that as we go into the course of the next couple of hours. A lot more activity down to the south. I'm going to see if I can get rid of the lightning here for just a second, and then let's go back to the analysis mode, and that'll give us a better idea as to what's happening. No severe weather down to our south. That's good news. There were some severe thunderstorm watch boxes back across southeastern Mississippi, and then back across into Alabama down toward Orange Beach. And Pensacola got some special weather statements going on, but beyond that, there's really just not that much happening. A lot of these here, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, around the area back toward Anniston. We could see some of these maybe wander up back to the north and to the east. That is where we could be getting some rumbles of thunder tonight, but I don't see anything in the way of major severe weather. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. From downtown, or pardon me, Lee Point, looking off toward the east where we had a decent thunderstorm cloud. Hopefully we got that on time lapse. We'll see if we can run that up here in just a little bit to see if we see anything out of that over the last couple of hours, this being time lapse Tuesday. So might as well take a look and see what we can see out there. Also got a good view of those thunderstorms from earlier from the downtown camera looking off toward the east, northeast from downtown on the Bailey's Heating and Air camera. So a decent view there. From the News 12 studio camera, we had a multi-vehicle accident just beyond the trees on I-24. Traffic appears to be moving along very well at this point, so we're not seeing anything in the way of a backup going on here, so that's good news. And then usually at this time, with construction going on back to the west of this picture, usually this from 75 north to 24 west is a little bit on the backed up side, to say the least, but that is not happening at this time. So good traffic conditions out across much of the area there. Temperatures at the airport just across the horizon from this picture, mid to upper 70s, winds out of the south at about 5 miles per hour. So a mild evening, but we've got a ton more humidity out there, and it definitely feels that way. So we do have a lot of humidity taking place. Temperatures right before the top of the hour, again, 70s for the most part around the News 12 viewing area. Scottsboro, Alabama, please take your airport thermometer out of the refrigerator, as temperatures are just below freezing at the Scottsboro airport, according to what we see here. And again, temperatures remaining very much on the mild side for the next several days. We are going to get kind of warm as we get toward Thursday, but that's because the clouds will clear off with that storm system coming through. We may see some temperatures approaching 90 degrees. For tonight, it's going to be very much on the muggy side and very warm, as temperatures for lows will only hit the mid to upper 60s at best. That, again, is where we may see some very uncomfortable conditions. Hopefully your air conditioning is working, because you're going to be needing it pretty soon. Over the next several days, again, more in the way of fuel for these thunderstorms taking place, coming in from high pressure off the east coast and then low pressure off of northern Mexico. Both those systems working together to escort in a ton of moisture. And then back to our northwest, our new cold front is on the way, and that is going to be giving us the potential for some more thunderstorms coming through. That, again, will give us best potential into tomorrow as that system makes its way down toward the south and to the east. And that will give us also behind there some very dry weather with high pressure coming in over the Rockies and looking all the way back into the Canadian mid-southern areas here. Area of low pressure rotating counterclockwise here. Area of high pressure rotating clockwise here. And that's going to force in a lot of dry air from off the Rockies and southern Canada. We're going to be seeing some very nice conditions, going back to some dry and comfortable conditions before too long. But overnight, showers and thunderstorms possible. Lows back in the mid to upper 60s, and then temperatures into the upper 70s to mid 80s into tomorrow, depending on when the rain comes through, when the clouds come through. That, again, could be a bit of a concern. Temperatures by Thursday morning with some leftover showers and thunderstorms ahead of that line, and then that's when the front starts to come through right about Thursday. That'll give us some drier conditions and temperatures a lot more mild. Some temperatures in the lower 60s. Not an Arctic front, but at this time of the year, that's about as good as it gets. We'll be seeing the temperatures back into the upper 70s, lower 80s by Friday afternoon, and then by early Saturday morning, we have high pressure keeping things very much on the dry and quiet side. And then as we go into Saturday, we'll look for more chances of rain and thunderstorms back to the west of us, but that's not going to be heading our direction until late Sunday afternoon. So yes, some of the weekend could see some showers and thunderstorms, but I don't think we're seeing too much of anything out there in the way of major problems. Now, this is brand new forecast here from the Storm Prediction Center. This was issued at about 8 o'clock. Back to the west of us, the westernmost counties in the News 12 viewing area, Grundy and Marion counties in Tennessee, and areas in DeKalb and Jackson counties in northeastern Alabama. That is the far eastern edge of a marginal threat of severe weather. The key up here, conditions 1 through 5, again, out of category 5, this is about a 1 potential for severe weather. So some storms within the next few hours could get strong to borderline severe. That's why those special weather statements have been issued from time to time. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll get a new outlook to show us what's coming up. I think we'll be done with everything. From what it looks like, most of the activity is pretty much gone at this point and should be done and over with by about past sunset within a couple of hours. So that's pretty much over with there. Now, tomorrow, a marginal threat becomes just a generic threat of thunderstorms. Not seeing anything in the way of severe weather, but we could get, again, the potential for some thunderstorms out there. And then that threat starts to come to an end as dry conditions settle in back to the northwest of us. And that, again, is where we see the end of the rainfall and the thunderstorms, and we get into some dry conditions as we go into the weekend. So that is where we see the potential out there for a little bit less in the way of problems for outdoor activities, which, again, If you got outdoor activities going on, that's very good news. Island Cove Marina and Resort, the forecast into the rest of the week. Showers and thunderstorms most numerous Wednesday through Thursday morning, clearing out, giving us temperatures going from near 90 on Thursday to the lower to mid 80s, staying well below normal for this time of the year. Warm, yes, and dry, yes, but then we see little, if anything, in the way of thunderstorms until late Sunday, early into Monday and Tuesday. Some isolated chances there. Tomorrow, Wednesday, marks World Environment Day from the United Nations Environment Program. If you'd like to take a look at that, go to my social media pages for more. World Oceans Day comes up on Saturday, June 8th, and the entire month of June is World Oceans Month. That, again, declared by the United Nations Environment Program. If you'd like to know more about what you and what I can do, what we could all do to help out our planet, there's some great opportunities to do so here. And coming up on the end of the month, June 30th, I've had this on here, haven't had a chance to really talk about this too much, but World Asteroid Day is celebrated on the anniversary of what is called the Tunguska event way back in the very early 20th century. What is theorized as a piece of a comet slammed into eastern Russia, where it was very sparsely populated, but it created a powerful explosion from space. It was an amazing story about that. Learned about that on Carl Sagan's Cosmos series back in 1980, if you'd like to know more about that. But Asteroid Day is celebrated every year to remind us why we need a good space program, why we need more people in mathematics, robotics, engineering, science, technology, all that type of stuff. Because if we want to keep our planet surviving and healthy, we need to watch what comes in from outer space. And we live in a solar system filled with debris. Now, if we could somehow send robots out there to fling that stuff into Jupiter, smash it into Mars, send it careening into the sun so it's not a threat for us, and then clear things out, we wouldn't have anything to worry about except from stuff coming in from outside the solar system. All of that is stuff that we need to take a look at, and World Asteroid Day is coming up again on June the 30th. We'll talk more about this in the course of the next several weeks, so stay tuned for more on News 12. Long list of astronauts, celebrities, scientists, musicians like Dr. Brian May from the super rock group, one of my favorites, Queen. He's on this committee. Really great to be able to see more about that. So if you'd like to know more about Asteroid Day, stay tuned, do your own research, and take a look at what is going on out there. It's a really great opportunity to see a lot of what is going to be happening. All right, good news at this time. We are 4 days into hurricane season, and we do not have any activity expected in the Atlantic, the Gulf, the Caribbean, or the eastern part of the Pacific. We have several waves. We have several areas of interest that might become something, but as of right now, there's nothing organized enough to be on the National Hurricane Center's radar, so to speak. But that could, again, change into the course of the next several days and weeks, especially this is very worrisome. Again, we've focused on this the last several weeks. We've talked about this. Bathtub warm water, and for those of you who want to be nitpicky, bathtub, jacuzzi, hot tub, anything like that, it may be different levels of temperature, it may be different levels of water, it may be different functions, fine. If you want to get nitpicky about that, the basic bottom line is these waters are warm enough to where it could really cause a storm system to get very strong very quickly. It's called RI, rapid intensification. If you want to email me and waste both of our time saying, oh, that's ridiculous, you're just believing what big science has fed you. No, I'm looking at the data and I'm looking at the information that says this is what can happen. And this is what we're looking at right now, especially with that loop current going on. Temperatures close to the coast of Florida are in the 90s, water temperatures, very close to the 90s. And with temperatures like this, like they should be in mid to late August, this is something that is exceptionally worrisome, and we need to be watching this with a very large amount of interest, because any storm that comes in from way out here could just really quickly go very quickly from tropical storm to hurricane status. We need to be weather aware this hurricane season, especially if you're heading anywhere to the oceanfront areas for a vacation, for business, for whatever purpose. You need to be paying attention to what's going on. Why? Because if you're going someplace where a storm is heading into, you don't want to be stuck in that scrum that's going to get out of the way of that storm as people evacuate while they head out before that system begins to arrive. You do not want to be going into that area as that storm approaches. That's just not the best thing for you on that. So something to think about there when it comes to safety. The good news also at this point is that we've got a layer of dust from over the Sahara moving off the Sahel in West Africa, going over the Pacific. It doesn't look like much for right now. Let me see if I can change this up a little bit, because I think I changed the palette on here. Yeah, that's not much better, but it does give us a little bit better. Let's see if I can find out more. There we go. Anywhere within this particular area, from West Africa across the Atlantic, all this dust coming in from off the Sahara Desert helps the biomes of the rainforest, but it also, all this dust in the atmosphere helps to reflect sunlight and helps to push back the potential of anything involving development into a possible tropical storm. So all this dust potential here might just help us keep things quiet, and I hope that is really the way that it stays for right now, because we could really use some help in that particular area. So keep it tuned to News 12. We'll keep you updated on what might be heading our direction, and again, please pay attention to anything going on in and around the area where it comes to the oceans, because we really have to watch what goes on. Now, this is an interesting story right here. And the last answer was given as sort of a joke, but everybody voted for that. I don't know if I'll be including too many more joke answers on here. In September 1947, the Weather Bureau, as it was then called, working with the other agencies, watching a storm coming in from around the southern and central Caribbean that was moving up this direction. Now, the actual naming of storms didn't really occur officially until about 1953 with the National Hurricane Center and being able to name the storms so that the public could pay attention to what was going on. And get the storms clear in their head as to which storm was going which direction, which one was a threat, and which one wasn't. So in 1947, and it's a really fascinating story about what actually caused this to happen, just to, again, issue a nickname for the storms. And which one was it? It was actually George. So 36% of you got that right. Gargamel, I don't know why anybody would vote for that, but again, 58% of you got it wrong. The QR code on your screen, and go to our website for more. This was, again, just an attempt to nickname a storm, and it was one of the first storms of the season to actually come through and hit the United States with an actual quote-unquote name designation. That's why we asked this question on here, but unfortunately we can only pack so many words into the top portion of the screen, so that was where we couldn't really explain everything going on. But the actual answer, 36% of you got right, was actually George. Again, if you'd like to vote, QR code, or go to wdef.com/vote now if you'd like to take a look and see a little bit more about what is available there. And we'll have several polls available. Good opportunity to take a look and see what we're asking out there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look from there. Please vote in the poll. We'd love to see what you're thinking. Please send us in the information on your pictures. Please turn those in. We'd love to see more about what you're seeing out there. And thanks to everybody for sending in some absolutely wonderful pictures over the last several days and weeks. I think that's going to do it. We've covered the tropics. We've covered possible severe weather tonight. We did the radar. We got the almanac page out of the way. We've got our weather picture. That's been taken care of. So I think that's it for tonight. Probably not going to go quite as late, but we've been on for about 24 minutes for Tuesday evening. So we'll probably just go ahead and send it back to your regularly scheduled Tuesday evening. Questions or concerns? go ahead and send them in to us at the bottom of the screen. My email address, aonek@wdef.com. Bottom section of the screen, wdef.com/weather. If you'd like to check in and see what's going on our website when it comes to anything involving forecast information or local news and sports and things like that, we'd love to see more about what exactly you're seeing out there. And if you see anything newsworthy, please give us a call. We'd love to see more about what you've got going on out there and what you're witnessing. 99% of our story ideas come from you, the public, when you call them into us, so please get those into us as soon as possible. So for the rest of tonight, that should do it. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Chip Chapman has your forecast bright and early tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for more details on that. And, of course, more again at our website, wdef.com/weather. Thanks for joining us for Tuesday, June 4th.